No reason. Cool. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, we just start off with DXY. Nothing crazy happened. All right, we were, I believe, so today's the 21st, 28th, 19th. We're the 18th. All right, I think we were on here, right, when we were pretty much trying to see if this was willing to give us a pullback and technically give us essentially a liquidity grab of this, right? Because technically, if this point here does not take out a previous low, which it hasn't, right? This can easily be liquidity. So just because it's liquidity does not mean that if we break it up here is a break of structure, because we can easily come back here and continue lower, right? But it was just interesting to see what was going to happen over the next essential day or two, because if we're looking at structure here, right, lower low, high low, let me just delete this other stuff. Right, high, pretty much a low here, right here, created bearish break of structure, took out that low, took out these lows, right, up here, created here, up here, created down here, right? So intraday break of structure there, right? So this is now our range here, right? So in order for this bullish move to be invalidated, right, we'd have to essentially break down here, right? And remember that we recalled on Wednesday that, where was it? Up here, right? So we had signaled that this was about, I think it was the M4 body, this red area here, and we had a set of equal lows right here. Yo, this fucker wants to start right now, man. Literally has not done a thing all morning. All right. So equal lows here, right? So we would know if either price is going to grab these and continue, and grab these and reverse, or grab these and continue. So we're technically in the process of seeing that happen, right? Because these lows were taken here, and it tapped that M4 point of interest, right? And then from there, you got a scalping break of structure, right? Pretty late in the day, pretty late in New York session. So it's not really something I'm too, not something I essentially care too much about, because, for example, this could easily be liquidity, right? And this move downwards, right, could be the start of the potential continuation due to the fact that we had momentum here, right? Because we had momentum here, right, that broke a series of structures there, right? Technically here too, right? Relative equal low here and here. So that was taken. So this could easily be interpreted as a continuation flag, right? Obviously, points of interest, I'm pretty much waiting on that. I'm not too keen on wanting to find areas now. I really want to see how market opens on Sunday and then go from there, because this could easily come up here to retap structure, continue lower, or we could challenge these highs. And if we challenge these highs with momentum, right, this could easily be the sign of reversal, because this narrative would be playing this tap here on the M4 candle that we saw back here, right there. right here. Took liquidity there. Potentially mitigated that, continued higher, and now this would be our new point of interest. Right, so it all just depends on how we react here in this overall area. If it's going to be slow or if it's going to be fast. So pretty much the same thing. And the reason why on Wednesday we couldn't call this move potentially happening, right, from the M4 candle here, the tap here. The reason why we couldn't call that was because we had already seen a structure break here, right? So that would make this range here our potential points of interest, right? There's a potential point of essentially turbulence here where we see price pause and continue, right? In theory, I would have wanted to see that continue there, right? But because we came back to take out the liquidity, right, all this could easily mean, right, is the interpretation of a continuation flag, and that bullish point of interest pretty much won't signify a reversal, maybe just a point of liquidity clearance and then continuation. Right, so not too much on DXY. It's been pretty slow this week. I think UCAD gave you guys a good move. Right, wasn't looking at it, but somebody was telling me about it. Let's see. Yeah, this could. So I don't want to be bullish on this, even though a ton of people are buying this, just because in theory it doesn't make sense, right? In terms of structure, right? High, low, high. All this move here would be the low, right? And from an intraday basis, this would have been a high that created your low. So for the most part, this could still continue lower, but a ton of people are wanting to buy here. I believe doesn't make sense in my eyes from a structure standpoint, right? Especially if we just took this low. If you're trying to play the narrative that you just took this low out, just took that low out. If you're trying to play that narrative, okay, I see it. But for the most part, looking at monthly, right, the only way that you would even want to look for buys is if you're wanting to take out these, right? But in order for you to want to take these out, you need a swing structure shift to occur, meaning you'd have to take out these highs, right, to create an incentive to want to come up into those highs, and then you just catch the reversal. Yeah, I don't know. Could be favorable, but for the most part, still bearish. EURUSD, same thing. I mean, that one, even the UCAD can be bearish. This one probably be bullish because of the whole correlation aspect, but you guys know that we don't typically like to go off of confluences like that. So just looking at what this has done this week, or pretty much since election time, right? This was election time here, cleared liquidity and took structure, right? Meaning this low and this high is the range you want to play under, right? I'm pretty sure we reached an equilibrium here. Right there. We reached an equilibrium. I believe almost filled inefficiency there. Unfortunately, I didn't get that one. But what we said was we wanted to see what would happen in this general area here, right? Because there could have been inefficiency here, and there's the candle of interest here on M45. So even though we already have this reaction from there, right? Technically, these or equal highs, right? And from an intraday structure setup, right? We've already taken out our intraday breaker structure here, right? So because we've created this essential higher high here and created relative equal highs there, right? This could easily just be a pullback for continuation. Right, just because overall we've been bullish on this for months, you guys know this, and we've actually gotten a clear sign of potential optimism, right, in the aspect that we've seen a clear move in structure, which was from here to here, which took that high out, right? And as soon as we saw that last time, we saw that from a swing basis, right? We can go back and see that. Right, it was here when we took liquidity here, just like it did over there recently, and we then took out a high. That was the optimism that then led to the lower high to occur and a full-on move to the upside. Exact same thing could happen here, right? We just took liquidity, right, just like it did before, created a new structural high, right, meaning even if we don't get these premium levels, right, the narrative is still up. So I'm still looking for every excuse to buy, right? Does that make sense? EU left equal highs, unequal lows, intraday. Yeah, it did leave equal lows intraday. It just really sucks that I didn't get my POI down here. That's what I really wanted. Right, that would have equaled a discounted pricing, a very good discounted pricing, right, and then created an impulse higher. So it really just depends that even if we come down here, it really just depends on how long it takes. Right, but we have to reference DXY too. Does it make sense for DXY to want to come higher before actually coming down too? Right, because it really, yes and no, right? Obviously, we still have our point of interest here. So best thing that happened would be our structural range pretty much formed here that took out previous structure here, right? Like we said, if we mitigate here, right, then this high did not take out did not make a new low. So this could be seen as liquidity and could continue lower. So that would be the ideal scenario, because then if this happens, then EU would give you that discounted pricing. So we'll see. Deciding factor is definitely if we take out this high or not. Last one, EG. Right, so remember what we talked about on H1. What was it, M30? Pretty much M30, right? So what we were talking about is that the potential momentum shift here because of the momentum here. But remember that we have to acknowledge that even though this momentum occurred, structure is still the same, right? So as long as structure doesn't break, it doesn't really make sense for us to want to pursue that bullish bias, right? And for the most part, those buys have been pretty much burned, right? So I'm not really looking for buys. I haven't been looking for buys. It doesn't make sense, right? And remember what we said on Wednesday was we need to see what happens around this high if we're willing to clear that high, right? So what happened was we essentially cleared it, right? But we gave momentum, pretty much a intraday breaker structure here, inefficiency probably there, and can pretty much created a bearish order flow sequence here, which created relative equal lows, right? So personally, I was trying to come anywhere in here, right? But I kept getting breaking. I broke even like twice. So after that, I was like, you know what, it's whatever. You can just wait. But unfortunately, the move happened, I believe, Friday during London, right there, right, and then gave a continuation here for New York, which took out those equal lows, right? But for the most part, the bias hasn't changed. Right, so this would have been your target, and this would have been an intraday target here. We pointed out those equal lows there. So the only reason why we would have wanted this trade, right, is if we got a certain type of break of structure, right? So we never got the break of structure, right? Which is why after I broke even here, I'm like, it doesn't make sense, right? So what happened afterwards? Created a consecutive series of higher lows, right? Clear liquidity, right? And then gave the intraday break of structure, right? Gave a discount inside of this wick here, right? Then broke structure again, right? Gave a mitigation during London, right? I don't really know exactly where that came from. And hold on. My bad. And from there, right, we pretty much gave an impulse move to the upside to create that. So this would have been essentially a high risk, right? Even though we did get the bearish break of structure there, but from here, bearish break of structure again, right? So I believe there was like an inefficiency somewhere here, and then there's a break of structure here, right? Which you could have gotten in there, which then had a target here, right? So for the most part, I mean, this wasn't the prettiest of setups, but unfortunately I was getting a haircut, so I didn't even pay attention to this. But other than that, it's been, stuff is playing out kind of, right? But it's taking its time, more so because of the uncertainty, because of the election, but just give it time. Yep. Harris, that could be, yeah, that's a potential. That's the inverse of what I said for DXY, bro. If we don't break that high on EU, then yeah, technically that low would be seen as liquidity. Right? If this cannot continue higher from essentially potential inefficiency fill here, if we can't go higher from there, right, this could be seen as liquidity grab and continue. But yeah, do you guys have any questions? I should finish all my DMs with probably like an hour after the call ends. So yeah, I have like 6 people I need to respond to.
Hey, Fredo.
Yes, what's up?
Just want to clarify something, right?
Hold on.
It just slipped in my mind a bit. Sorry. 1 to 5 minutes is scalp structure. I should say 1 to 15 minutes, so 40 minutes is scalp structure. 15 to 1 hour is intraday, and 2 hours up is swing till daily, and then daily onwards is position, correct?
I mean, I haven't talked about that yet, right? But it's not about the time frame, bro. It's about identifying lows that create new highs that then break structure, right? You have to be able to acknowledge that to then judge a narrative to continue lower, right? So it's just an example here, but you need to be able to read that on every time frame, right? Same thing here, right? Let me see. Right here. This is what you need to be able to read. You shouldn't be able to, you don't necessarily have to catch this entry, right? You just have to acknowledge the fact that this high created this low that was taken,
Mm-hmm.
This was a mitigation that continued higher, right? This low created this high, pull back here, right? Or even, you could even call that a micro there. I'm not going to get into that micro though to confuse you, right? But you have to be able to acknowledge those pushes. That's what I want you to be able to understand, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be specific to the time frame. I'm going to give you time frames, but just as references, not as absolute, right? Because at the end of the day, time frames just represent the same information, right?
Yeah, understood.
Yeah. So this is what I want you to understand, right? Lows that create new lows and highs that create new highs. Once those structure points are broken, that's what you need to acknowledge to then judge direction, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So don't be too how do I say, don't limit yourself to specific time frames or specific structure levels of structure, but if it works for you, then it works for you.
All right, cool.
Like I said, I'm not gonna talk about the new material on Zooms because I don't want to have a bunch of questions come in and this and this. I'd rather just be patient. I'd rather have you guys be patient with it and go from there.
Okay.
Perfect. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So like I said, just focus on highs that create new lows, right? And focus on lows that create new highs and seeing those points be broken, right? High creates new low, right? Continuation, lower. And you can do this on any pair, right? Now, obviously the composition of the sequences is going to be different. That varies by pair, varies by time frame, and when specifically you're trading, which is session based. Right, cool. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I won't add any more to it. I'll just leave it as there for now.
Yeah, I would say just leave it, bro. I would say leave it. If you're able to read it, that's all that matters.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Cool. Anybody else? No, for now. Cool. All right, cool. So can we end it there, guys? For sure. Yeah, cool. I'll see you guys Wednesday. Is Surge ever gonna